All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Let's Talk with Danielle podcast. And listen, I'm so excited to be here. I have this wonderful guest. He is a psychotherapist, he is a speaker, and an author. So, we're going to be talking about the title, The Power of a Healed Mind. My guest is here. Like I said, he's a psychotherapist. We're going to be diving in. I'm going to ask a lot of questions about him. If you have any questions, guys, please feel free to join in. Okay. All right. Rod Warner, thank you so much for being on this platform of mine and sharing your thoughts and your ideology. So, yeah, tell me, we're going to kind of start off a little bit. How did you even get started in wanting to be a psychotherapist? How did this even came about for you?
Actually, I really didn't want to be a psychotherapist. I had one of my good friends, best friend actually, Kenyatta Black of Kenyatta Black Counseling, and Dr. Moses Chisholm, and both of those individuals we're all in class together, and I was actually on a pathway of trying to become
Hmm.
open up a funeral home, and but they had came out. Kenyatta had started her practice, and Moses started his practice. I sent him his first client, and they were doing extremely well. But they were dialoguing with me about why I should get in it. And sometimes God has a peculiar way of putting roadblocks in front of you. And I got in it, and thanks to both of those individuals, and I haven't looked back.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you had other plans, but once you got in it, like you said, you never looked back. Can you tell me what is the whole package of a psychotherapist? What is, I mean, you don't have to go into the whole rundown, but a little brief things, a little important things for those who may not know
Well,
what you actually do.
right. I understand. Well, let's look at it like this here. Mental health. Mental health, a lot of people don't really understand what mental health is. It's a big catchphrase. So mental health is when the abnormal seems normal that points to disease. And
Mm,
anytime that the abnormal, we have what they call the DSM-5, and in the DSM-5, this tells you what's normal and what's considered abnormal. And when certain pain and certain thinking causes the behavior to be abnormal, then this is where we come in. So we just kind of help people talk through um, their issues, their pains, their concerns, and we just kind of guide them in the direction they want to go.
that's good. That's so good. The one thing I feel like really passionate about this whole topic is because I believe we're in a season where, I mean, that mental health is should be talked about more than what it
Mhm,
is.
mhm.
A lot of, like you said, there's so much misinformation. A lot of people don't really understand how important we can go to doctors for everything else. We even go to the gym, but we sometimes can neglect our minds, our emotions. And so, my question to you is, um, how important you think it is, just how important you think it is for us to take care of our mental status, our mental health.
Well, it's extremely important, I feel, because your brain is the computer,
Hmm.
and some people can be brain dead. And when you're brain dead, you're not functioning. So it's the computer. So
Mhm.
even in a spiritual um, thinking, think about it. The renewing of your mind.
Mm.
How do you how do you think? Well, how you think is going to affect how you see things, and how you see things, how you're going to handle things, and how you handle things, how you move when you go about the world. So thinking is very important, and if you're not thinking correctly, you're thinking incorrectly. So that's what we call correct thinking and incorrect thinking.
Hmm. That's true. I remember there was a season where I had went through some traumatic events. I do share them on my other podcast shows, and I kind of go into a little bit of a little testimony thing. But I lost a loved ones. I lost a
Mm,
baby. I lost my kid's father when they were little, and so I went through a season that I was very I wasn't the same person. And I was, there was a lot of things I was experiencing that I didn't know. Things were triggering anxiety, things were happening. And so that's the moment for me, even though this was years ago, that was a moment for me where I took the big step in even introducing a therapist to my children at the time.
Hmm.
And so and they were little. And I knew, because the Bible, like you said, was talking about the renewing of the mind. I knew then that it was something that I needed to understand, and it was something that I needed to take care of. And I noticed how journaling and how positive thinking, and of course, me as a woman of faith, reading my Bible really, really helped me, and it really healed me. So when we talk about how important it is, it, like you said, it's extremely important because it has a lot to do with our thoughts and our emotions. I heard something today on, I think, the news, where there's a big story, and everyone is very compassionate about this story. It's about, I want to make sure I say his name right, um, Kyrie Lacey. I think he is a young guy who was being looked at in the football industry, and I think he was getting ready to be drafted. But he goes into have this. It was I really don't want to say all the details because I don't know all the details, but there was something that happened where I think it was a car accident or something that he was involved in. Well,
Hmm.
what they found was he was found dead. And so I don't really know all the details to it, but as I was reading some of the things about it, they said he had a lot on his shoulders, and that triggered a lot of our black men, a lot of our young black men. They were taking on so much, and they're not understanding the significance of mental health, how to take care of it. They don't know how to do that. I do know that you, as you were talking, and things I've seen you share about giving tips and advice on how to do that. Can you share some of those little tips or things that black men or people everywhere can utilize in their daily, their daily walk?
Well, I think you mentioned something earlier when I'll go back when you was talking about grief. Grief is a level of pain. Try to argue with pain. Pain is undefeated.
Mm-hmm.
So when you're in pain, logic never undresses in front of pain. So you think about it, you're not thinking correctly when you're in pain. So when the doctors can tell you on a chart from 0 to 10 what your pain level is according to your age, your ethnicity, and your sex, your gender. But a doctor can't tell you about your emotional pain.
Wow.
And we all handle grief differently. A loss of a job, a loss of a loved one, a divorce, separation from a best friend. All of these are loss. And when you don't talk out the pain, you will act it out. And we call this psychodrama.
Mm. Wow. So you act out it. That's
Yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
I didn't know that, but
yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
good.
Well, that's why you have most men that you tend to see people, not just men, but you hear it more in men, but most people reach for anger because it's the easiest motion. So
Yeah.
it's like a defense mechanism they put up, and you act out. So what happens is someone hurts your feeling, you get mad.
Hmm.
So yeah, anger is nothing but sadness pulled inside out.
Wow. That is, I never even saw it that way.
Mhm.
That's very interesting that you would say that, because I was looking at something else too, where a young guy was, and my passion when I do, I'm a speaker as well. And so when I do have the chance to go out and speak, whether it's with a crowd or a church or wherever, um, my passion is a lot. It's drawn to men as well, because I have a
Mhm.
son, and especially with me, with especially with black men. The reason why I say that is, and now now don't get me wrong, this is for all men, all people, but more so with our black men because I mean, like with back in what 2020 with the George Floyd incident and with a lot of racism and a lot of different things that was happening in the world, and of course we know there's been so much have happened when it come down to racism and things like that, but it just for me during that time I was just thinking there's a lot going on, especially with the black man, and a lot of times we tend to forget about you guys.
Oh yeah, that's
We tend to forget about
right. Yeah. Well,
the
well,
men.
but yeah, and we have feelings.
Mhm.
There's not a lot of outlet places for men to go into dialogue. The only place where men get together and dialogue in a setting on a weekly or bi-weekly um, occurrence is actually at the barbershop.
Mhm.
The barbershop has been the place where people get to talk and express themselves. And when you hear the notion that men do not talk, that's so far from the truth. Go to any of your go to any of your local barbershops and just sit in there, and you will hear. And the barbershop is uh, a non-judgmental atmosphere. And
Mm.
so, what our men, we need an outlet, and if we don't have an outlet, then we struggle. So, you hear people say, "Let's go to church," but at times some church
Wow.
individuals can be very critical,
You're right.
and especially they gave I don't know if you heard the story with the man was invited to church, and he comes into the church
Hmm.
and he sits down, and they were about to do communion, and everybody was getting ready to do communion, and his cell phone goes off. Well, this guy has a new cell phone, and he was trying to shut it off, and it just kept ringing and ringing and ringing. So the pastor said something, the guy who was with him said something, the usher said something. So the guy leaves, feels bad, and he pulls up at the local bar, and he was so hurt and disappointed, he knocks over his drink and breaks the glass.
Wow.
Well, the bartender comes over, helps him. The waitress comes over and get a towel and wipe it up. And then the manager say, "Hey man, I see that you're having a hard time. Let me buy you another drink."
Okay.
Well, here in the bar, he's not getting criticized. He's getting help and people being
Yes.
compassionate. So what happens is I gave you that story because we have to create environments and not be really judged. So here in counseling, we don't judge our clients. We hear them out, and we make them feel seen and feel heard. And men need to feel seen and they need to feel heard. And if they don't, they will start acting out that pain. And they can look a number of different ways though. So it's very important that we understand, and as parents to teach, haven't been taught that men have feelings. It's only been taught that little girls have feelings and don't do this and don't say this, but
Mhm.
guys have feelings. And when we have feelings and we express them, um, when they're younger, they would cry, and you can actually hear people say, "You're a boy, you shouldn't be crying. Suck them tears up. Don't
Right.
do this, don't do this." And look what you're teaching.
Mhm.
You're
Let
teaching them that they can express themselves. Go ahead.
that, well, let me say this. They're wanting someone is telling me, letting me know that me and you are not side by side. And on my end, it's showing me that we are side by side. So they're seeing something different. So let me try to get this together here because they are saying that we're not side by side. Um, and I'm scared because I don't want to mess anything up here. um, that's so interesting. So while you can continue to talk, I'll just try to figure that out. Hopefully, I can get it, guys. Hopefully I can get them side by side. On my end, it shows that we are side by
Yeah.
side. So I do
Yeah.
apologize, guys. But no,
Yeah.
that's interesting what you were stating.
Yeah. So as men, as a man, then when you have the absent men, we can connect with other men and let them know that it's okay. It's very okay to lift the load. You have this heavy load, and sometimes you don't have to carry this load by yourself. And sometimes your presence of another man, it makes the world a difference.
Can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, I was just trying to get them to get us together here because I think the people out there was like, listen, he is not. They're not seeing you like they want to see you here. But
Oh, I don't know what to do.
I don't know, guys. Hopefully, if I don't get it right, next time I'll make sure I'll have this right here. But
Yeah, you
it's
got to make sure
important.
you get it right, Danielle. My parents are watching. Go- go-
You're gonna make me really break in a sweat.
No, go
Um,
ahead, go ahead.
but so what you were saying was true. I remember. So I have a son, and he is I have two girls and one boy, and they're all grown now. But when he was younger, I remember we were going shopping, and we literally kind of like for not I don't want to say we forgot about him, but we spent so much time with all the girl stuff and what we want this and this, and he immediately stood and said, when is going to be my turn? Like, when do I get a chance? When do I get a chance? And so even though that's has nothing to do with what we were like kind of talking about, but it had a lot to do with me on how I saw him, like in my like he's around a lot of women. And so that's when I started getting him into basketball, around men. Uh, of course, around that time, when I started getting him into sports and coming to these games, and then it was not just about the girls and about us doing girl things. I was trying to make sure I was, and I believe these little things, especially with kids, I believe this helps with the mental part of
Oh,
nurturing. You know what I'm
oh,
saying?
sorry. I don't know what happened. Okay.
Yeah, the nurturing of his emotions and his mental as well. I think those, so as they're growing up, some of the small things do matter.
Oh, it does. It does. And here's the thing. It starts out with a base, the father being in the home. You
That's
you
true.
hear you hear this catchphrase all the time, father figure, but
Mhm.
you never hear the term mother figure.
Hmm.
Well,
True.
a father figure is a placeholder, and we're much more than that. And you're only gonna be what you see. I saw my father. I saw how he operated, how he governed the household, how he led the household, how he protected the household, how he provided for the household. So I see that. And when you have a real live example, but think about the same thing, with Christ.
Mm.
He was a leader, and the disciples saw him interact. They saw him praying. They saw him healing um, the sick and the deaf and the dumb and the blind. They saw him feeding the multitude. So, and praying, and they also saw him lose his life.
Mm.
So the thing of it is when we see it, this is called model behavior. The issue becomes when we see some of these people blueprints are not looking like the model.
That's
And
true.
that is a discrepancy.
That's very true. It's amazing you said that because I always felt like um, men, I'm not going to try to get too deep here,
That's
biblically
okay.
deep, but I believe that God, like you said, the model, the image of God being our cover. And I believe that the Lord will pass that down to men as he governs over a house. The man, the husband, he is a coverer, like he covers the family, the wife, the children. And so, like you said, it is very important, like when the father is not in the home, especially for me, my kid's father passed away when they were babies. So, like
Mhm.
for me, I had to be the cover. Sometimes when we have to be the cover of everything, and I hope I don't get slack for this, but we really typically we're not just designed to be the cover of everything. And as
Right.
single women, that's why it's so important. And this is just my perspective. That's why it's so important to make sure your covering is Christ. And it's just me because I'm a faith girly, you know. When you are single, it is really, really crucial to get up under a covering. And the number one covering, if you don't have a husband at the time, is God. And I believe that He does the spiritual covering like He would normally do if you were married. It's just that you're single. So yeah, so I do believe men do hold this, and you're built for it. You're spiritually, physically, you are built to be a coverer. Everything about a man um, is within his DNA that God created you to be a coverer, because you're going to be taken on His image. God said He gave dominion to Adam first, and then of course Eve. But I'm just saying, it really is. I do believe an image of a man is so important. My
I
father,
agree with you. I
yeah.
agree. I agree with you. And in today's society, um, they would try to change the order. And anytime you change the order of thing, it becomes out of order. So the structure is messed up. So you understand the foundation. If you don't have a steady foundation, I don't care what you're doing, it's going to fall apart. And there's so many countless stories, even in the Bible, where if there's not a steady foundation, and he talks about it in Acts. And when you don't have a foundation, that means a baseline, something that you
Mhm.
stand on, a moral code, a principle, a belief. Everything else is going to fall away. So, and everything is going to be tested and challenged. Everything, your faith, love, your family, how you see God, how you see yourself, how you interact with your kids, everything's going to be tested and challenged. The question is, who do you become when you don't get what you want?
That's good. That's good. Who you become when you don't get what you want.
Right.
Um, that's a good question, because I believe I'm in a season, I'm in a space where I created this space. I chose this space and have been in this space for some years. Um, how do I want to put this? I want to be really. Um, so I'm in this space basically because I wanted to be intentional on every
Okay.
part of my life. I wanted to be able to, where how I move, the way I move, my decisions in business, my decisions um, in every area of my life, finances, everything. I wanted to be intentional. I didn't want to be like the. I don't want to be. I don't want to do the popular thing. I'm always kind of a loner a little bit. I know it's not good to sometimes be by yourself a lot, but I tend to not follow the crowd. I've always been that way. But in this season, I tend to just kind of keep my ears out on what God is saying for me to do. Because what He say for me to do might not be necessarily for what others, but I tend to want to be in that space. I didn't want to be moved by what's popular. I didn't want to be moved by what, there's like this soft era, or a lot of women, there's a lot of movement where women say we're independent. We don't need this. I think I love being independent. I love being independent, but at the same time, when I do find somebody and I actually get married, I don't mind being submissive, because I understand what that word means. It doesn't mean a weakness, because I'm not a weak woman. I
So,
know it takes
okay.
strength. Go ahead.
Yeah.
No, I'm ready.
No, with the independent, I would like to offer you another word. Anything independent, it stands by itself, needs nothing. God, um, the creator of heaven and earth, he still needed people to do certain things. He even needed Jesus. Jesus needed the disciples. The disciples needed other people. So we don't want to look at just independent, and we don't want to look at dependent. Dependent is actually not a good thing as well. And then codependency, which is really not, you don't even want that. But I will offer you the word intradependent. That means I need you just as much as you need me.
Mm,
And that is a working relationship. And this is what other races and other cultures have. They have interdependent relationships that they working together. Remember this phrase: two is better than one, but one is better than two.
That's that's good.
Thank you.
Hmm. I'm gonna think on that. I'm thinking
Okay.
on that.
Okay. Okay. Well,
That's
I can explain it. I can explain
yes.
it.
Please do
Okay.
elaborate.
Well, if you think about it, two heads, two eyes, two ears, two mouths is better than one. But when we
Oh,
come together as one, my finger by itself only can do so much. But if I make a fist, I can make more of an impact. When we come together, when we come together, that's why if you hear when Jesus talked about the two of the highest of the
mhm.
commandments, when he said, love your neighbor like you love yourself. When we're
Yeah.
coming together, we're coming together as one. There's nobody on this planet better than nobody else. We're all God's living creation. We're his creatures. We're supposed to love him who is God and love them as our fellow man. And one of the things that I always share,
Hmm.
we're just individuals sharing a moment in space and time. That's it. So who do you think you are when you think you're better than someone else? Jesus came and he taught and he gave. He was the light. Remember this here, everything that is whole has a crack in it.
I think that's what we
Okay.
said.
I don't know what happened. I don't see you anymore.
You don't see me anymore. Ugh,
Uh-uh. I see me.
you only see you. That is so weird. Here, let me see. Um, okay, you still don't see. Hold on.
Yeah, I don't see you.
Let me get some help here. Okay. Okay, you still don't see. Hold on. Let me get some help here. You can't see some help here.
Oh, I see you now.
Now you see me.
Yeah, we side by side now.
We're side by side now. Are we side by
Yeah.
side? Okay, thank
Okay. It's her fault. It's her fault.
you. All right, thank you so much. I have some little help here, little helpers, little big helpers. Okay, so you were saying something very important, and then this whole
Oh
thing
no,
went.
no, no. I'm just saying everything that we have, everything has a crack in it. And that crack is not always bad. Sometimes it's to let light in and also to let the light out as well. So it's very important you identify your crack. This is what we call self-awareness.
And I believe that. I agree. I agree with that because I know we're talking about healing, the power of a healed mind, right?
Uh-huh.
But do you believe the statement you just said? I think you're saying there's always going to be something in you that is going to need improvement, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
healing
We're,
and poured into till we die, probably.
yeah, we're never healed because certain things trigger us and remind us because we have memories. And when we have our memory, just it records the events and how it made you feel. So the memories never go away. So what happens is a lot of people say, "Oh, I've been to therapy," and "Oh, I already dealt with that." But the absence of pain doesn't mean that you're healed.
Mm,
This is an ongoing thing. That's why you see people who are on drugs, they have to make a conscious decision not to be on drugs. And those people who you know dealing with some type of addiction or some type of pain, they have to totally um, make a conscious decision
mm,
to say, hey, you know what? I do not want to be this person anymore, whether you're a victim or victorious. And a lot of times we tell a lot of people tell a victim story. And our words have power. And a lot of times we forget that. The question that I always ask, and I ask my clients, do you believe everything that you say? And if you don't, why are you saying it?
That's good.
Your words have power.
I believe
And
that.
yeah,
Yeah, I believe
especially
that.
especially if you're a believer. That's
Yeah,
why you see the famous Deion Sanders. He get his people or team, the football players. He gets them to believe in them. Belief is a very strong thing, and it's impossible you to please God if you don't believe.
that's true.
So if you have to believe, and a lot of time, first believe in Him,
Hmm.
and then you can believe in you. But sometimes we believe in other things, and I was very good at imitating faith.
Wow.
I did so good at imitating faith, but I was so good at believing in God, but I wasn't so good in believing in myself. But
Ooh.
that's when I believed in what Apostle Paul said, I can do all things through Christ Jesus that strengthen me. That is when I made the change. That's
Wow.
when I made a decision. That's when I started listening to me. That's when I stopped listening to everybody else. And I've listened to God, and I listened to God's word, and I read his word, and I read his word, and I look in the power of prayer. And I believe in him just like I believe in what he created, which is me.
Woo. Mm. That's. I'm gonna watch this back over here, back again, because that part right there,
Yeah.
guys. Listen, if you guys are watching this, trust me, this is good. I hope you guys are taking some notes too. But most of all, just be reminded of believing in yourself, the power of a healed mind, and knowing that it's okay. It's an everyday thing. Even in the Bible, it talks about you have to pick up your cross. It's a daily walk. It is that
Yeah. Yeah.
we do.
And also stop listening to people. Listen to your support circle. Pick you five people. And if you ain't got five, get at least three. Listen to them because we have blind spots. We can't see everything. We can't hear everything. We can't say everything. Listen to these people who love you. And when I'm meaning not unconditional, that word, I don't subscribe to that word. But like God says, an unfailing love.
Wow.
You can test and it's unfailing. Listen to these people who just want you to win,
Mm,
who want you to win, who want best for you. That is true love. So I just look at it, surround yourself with people because who is the person in your life who overrides your own opinion?
that's
Think
good.
about it. Yeah.
That is really good. I love what you say when you said that is true love. When you have people that want you to win, they're not their motives is not rooted in what I can get from you, what I can
Well,
get from you.
yeah. Yeah. And see, you have to understand people motive. You don't know where it's coming from. Some people teach you out of fear. And a lot of people will tell you about their past, what happened to them. Oh, I don't want this to happen to you. And you rob people. You start robbing people. Pain ain't a punisher, it's a teacher. You learn so much when you fail.
Right.
Call it failing forward. I learned when I fail. This is what we call negative reinforcement. The first word of a child, you know what it is? You know
What?
what the first word is? It's not mommy and daddy. It's hot.
Hot.
When you don't touch that stove and they touch it's a hot. And they understand it. Why? Because of the negative reinforcement.
Wow. You know what? I remember. I'm gonna just say this little part here. I'm not gonna try to get so much off into my experiences here, but I remember I knew how powerful it is, how the power of the mind, or what you think and what you say, was really, really spiritual. It was really, really spiritual. And then when I became, like, a believer, and I started reading and understanding faith, faith without works is dead. Or, and then, but before even, how do you have faith? Is when you're hearing the word of God, and it's because it's something powerful about God's word. It's living, it's life. Everything God touched, it lives. So I heard all that. So basically, I remember I was probably a little kid when I told my mom I was going to be an author, right? I was going to write books. I was going to be like Danielle Steele. Now, I'm dating my age here when I say Danielle Steele and Nora Roberts as these authors here. But I said that when I was a little kid because I used to love my design. I loved going to the library. I loved all that kind of good stuff. But I spoke that as a kid. And then, it took me years later when I realized, I said, you know what, Mom? I said, hey, when we were going through Barnes and Noble, we're looking at my book, and I said, Mom, you know what? I said this when I was a little girl. I told you, I said, one day I was going to have a book that says Danielle Roberts. I said, just like Danielle Steele, just like Nora Roberts. I said, my name is going to be on one of the covers of these books. And I believe that as a kid. So,
Hmm.
so you're right. It is power in what you say and power in what you actually believe.
Right, right, right. Well, and also you have to when we don't have those examples, uh, a lot of times we don't have examples of what we want, and through life, you can have life can throw you a curveball, and sometimes you would think, "Is why me?" Well, a lot of people are trying to find purpose. What is purpose? What's my purpose? And you go on and on. And I would tell those who are listening right now that the quickest way to find your purpose, you don't have to pay people to do that. Your purpose is what you're passionate about. If you tap into your passion, that means what is it that you love to do? You love to do it. And you would do it for 5 years. And if you only got a quarter, but you love to do it. If we tapped into that, you would have the job, the career, the whatever, and God will give you the desires of your heart. But you can't say you want something and then don't do it. I
Mm,
love what I do. I only go to sleep so I can wake up and do it again. And
wow.
my clients can tell you how much I love what I do, but they pay me.
Hmm.
But seriously, but seriously, if you really tap into your purpose, God is faithful. He is faithful even when we're not. And if you don't know what you want to do, take an extra step and make a list of what you don't want to do. That's equally important. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this. Figure out, what do I want? What do I want to be known for? What is it that I truly want? Most people don't get what we want because we don't know what we want.
That's
So
right.
when we go to God, He said, "Give me something to work with, because your faith without your works is dead. Show me something. Show me."
That's right. That's good. Listen, and I'm learning a lot every day, even every stage of life. And for me, every stage of life, things change. There's some things that never change, but there's a lot of things about what I like about my writing. My first novels is about like love stories, and it's Christian fiction basically. But then now I did a documentary in 2020. I think 2020 2021. I did a documentary. I loved it. I'm planning on, well, I didn't do a documentary. I worked on behind the scenes on one. So, but I'm planning on pursuing that era, because I have a lot of topics that I want to kind of dive into. Um, but I also just see myself evolving, and I see myself changing. What I used to like, or what I was passionate about maybe 5 years ago, the passion is still there, but the way I see it is different. My books, my writing is going more into teaching. I'm getting ready to write a book about training on customer service, teaching about it, my ideology on how companies and businesses should uh, uh, create the culture of their customer service, and at different companies. So I'm excited about a lot of different things. So my writing is kind of evolving and changing a little bit. So yeah, I believe we all change. So as we're going to be wrapping up, I kind of want to
Mhm.
ask you a few more questions here.
Okay.
Just a question and probably it's almost kind of like what I've asked in the beginning, but what do you think about, like I said, the season we're in, about mental health? Um, what do you think people should be doing daily? I know you kind of mentioned a little bit of this early on in the beginning of this podcast. What are some of the little things that we can kind of apply?
Uh, a couple of things. One is your perception. Is it really a problem,
Hmm.
or is it really just a um, something that's miscellaneous? Like it certain things occur. Everything is not a problem, and and the devil ain't of everything. You know what I'm saying? But is this really a problem, or is it really an issue? Or you just have a concern. So you have to categorize. So the one of the things we can do is our perceptions, because if we see things wrong, we're going to think things wrong. We're going to do things wrong. So how do you see things? That's one thing. Second, think before you speak. Think.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking is very hard. It's not as easy as people think, because soon as somebody says something to you, you want to clap back. Clap, 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 clap. That's not that. You have to just sit there and we have to sit there and think, because when we don't think, when your when your that ain't
Oh,
my dog, y'all. I don't know
that's my
that.
dog.
Okay, okay. So
It's
so
not
so so
far.
that so
Professional.
when your emotions, when you don't think, when your emotions go up, your intellect goes down, and you
Ooh.
never make an emotional decision. You
Mm.
never let your emotions overpower your intellect, and that is the problem that a lot of people don't think. If you ask them, why did you do that? I don't know. I wasn't thinking.
Wow. Mm.
So take the time to reflect. That's something else that we can do. And third,
That's
which
good.
is I think is powerful, is watch your words. Watch what you say. You're most time you're getting what you're saying. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I don't want to. I don't want to. I don't want to. And you keep getting it. You wonder why it shows up. But what do you want? Um, I had a friend of mine. I was trying to help out with their next step in life. I asked them to write down 20 things that you want. Just
Mm.
write it down. And I suggest anybody who's listening, write down everything that you want. Write it down. If you don't write it down, it ain't real. It's just a figment of your imagination. That's why in the Bible he said, so it's written.
Mm.
So you don't write it down. Even God handwritten the Ten Commandments,
Mhm.
because when you write it down, it solidifies it. It makes it real. It makes it tangible. Now you can read what you have wrote. You don't write down things that is not real, that you don't believe. So write it down. What do you want? And then you can start scratching things off your list as you go. Or you can even narrow it down.
Wow.
Write it down. So those are some things that I would strongly encourage and suggest.
That's good because you know what? I am a big on journaling. I own my own publishing company and stationery where we create journals. I create journals, and so I've been a journal. I have journaled a lot. That's where I do my reflecting.
Okay.
That's where I do my thinking and I write things down. So I would go back to my journals probably 5 years ago, and I would see that I wanted, these are goals that I've listed. And then I look back and say, oh, I did this. Oh, that was done. Oh, wow, I can't even believe I thought about that, 7 years ago. I've actually done this already. And so I was able to, like, draw the line through it. And but you're right. What you just said earlier about writing it down. It's power in writing um, what you're wanting down, or your goals, or how. I even write certain things, certain areas of my emotions that do need healing, because when I write it down, it reminds me.
Hello? Hello? Yeah.
Yes,
Okay, you went out. You went.
there was a little glitch here.
Okay. Yeah. You went out. I'm sorry.
Oh, so
Oh,
so basically,
you went out again. You
but
went out again.
I know I don't understand that, but yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and try to wrap it up. But
Okay.
I want you to let us know, what are you doing new? What can we be expecting from you?
Well, you was talking about journals. I actually just completed two journals. One's called Unshackle
Mhm.
for mental health for Black men, and then the other one's called Attraction. What are you attracted to? These are two journals that I actually completed, and most people we keep getting the same thing and don't know why, and a lot of times we don't know what we're attracted to. These are some of the things that I'm working on, and then I got my book, what I'm saying, the Seven S's, that's coming out, and I'm doing a book release of that in July of coming up. For the people out there listening, uh, uh, I just want to leave you with this one question, and I think it's a very good question. Um, and Danielle, you can use it, please. I don't need no credit for it. The question is, if you knew
Hmm.
that you couldn't fail, what would you be doing? If I guarantee you, if I promise you couldn't fail, what would you be doing? That put things in a lot of perspective. If we can answer that question and go with that with all our intention, all our might, and put our everything in it, a lot of time as people, we don't give it our all. We just give it a half. And you give it a half, and you're gonna get a half in return. But what are you really committed to? That's what happened. So that's the question. And Danielle, I really want to thank you for having me on this platform. You did great. I'm very proud of you for creating this platform for people like myself to come on and to share. You have something great that God has given you. He didn't give me podcast, but He gave it to you, and you look very resourceful and refreshed while you're doing it. And I salute you, I celebrate you, I acknowledge you, and I honor you for doing this. And thank you so much for having me on your platform.
You are more than welcome. Thank you for even being on my platform. I really appreciate what you brought to this platform and your conversation. And I really want those, whenever you get your anything that you have out, please share it with me so I can present it to those who've made attached to this podcast. And those, please follow him on IG at Rob. You can go ahead and share your social media.
I am Rod Warner. You can Google me or Chat GBT me to find me for those who are on AI. Uh, I'm easy to find. So,
Yes.
but the
I
name is Rod Warner. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you again for coming on on the platform, and I believe that it's gonna level up. I'm gonna flourish, and I probably have my own studio soon. So these glitches, we will see. We will definitely see what is in the future for this podcast. But thank
Definitely.
you for coming. Maybe in the future you have to come back again and share um, whatever you would like to share. But thank
Okay.
you guys for watching. Did you have anything else you want to share?
No, no, no. That's it. I thank you. I appreciate you.
All right, you have a good night. Take care.
Thank you.
God bless
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank y'all for watching the show. Y'all have a good day.